Love Judge Dredd but don't know where to begin? Here are 8 stories you need to read. Judge Dredd is one of those characters everyone thinks they understand: big chin, bluff manner, unwavering admiration for justice. But in this video we'll show there's more to Joe Dredd than a brutal indifference to due process. 8 stories that showcase the breadth and quality of graphic novels about Megacity 1's most favoured son. And before we get started, remember to hit the link in the description so you can download the free 2000 AD app, complete with a stack of free comics you can read right now. And if you are new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe and ring the notification bell for more features just like this one. Here are 8 Judge Dredd stories every graphic novel fan should read. When it comes to legendary Judge Dredd arcs, the Cursed Earth Saga stands apart. It was the first properly epic Dredd story, for starters, but it's particularly special because nothing like this could ever exist today. It paints a satirical picture of an American wasteland haunted by its corporate past. Armies of McDonald's and Burger King soldiers are in open war with each other. Jolly green giants patrol the land in service of a Colonel Sanders lookalike. For obvious legal reasons, these strips were never reprinted, and the uncensored version only saw the light of day in 2016. But that's just the beginning. As Dredd travels across the radioactive hell on Earth to save Megacity 2, he meets a menagerie of mutants, telepaths, robot vampires, entombed presidents, and more. There's even a forerunner to Jurassic Park with a stampede of escaped, genetically recreated dinosaurs 12 years before Michael Crichton published the novel. Taken together, the Cursed Earth Saga is a wild ride that showcases the raw, unfettered imagination of the 2000 AD team. It's impossible to compile a list of essential Judge Dredd stories without including the Dark Judges. These tales demonstrate how well supernatural horror slots into the grim future of Megacity 1, and it also provides a bleak reflection of the Justice Department itself. The Dark Judges realise that crime is only committed by the living, so life itself becomes illegal. It's a lot like reading a piece of 2000 AD history. We get our first instance of Judge Death's beloved catchphrase, as well as a great introduction to the skills and character of Judge Anderson. And it also features one of the most satisfying panels in comic book history. Dredd's response to Judge Fear, a creature so terrifying his appearance can literally kill you instantly, is perfectly on brand. The story takes Dredd and Anderson to the dead world itself, cementing their unique odd couple relationship, and it establishes that classic horror trope in the pages of 2000 AD. Evil never truly dies, it just gestates. It's rare to find a Judge Dredd story featuring a thoroughly likeable lawbreaker, but that's exactly what we get in Oz. Marlon Chopper Shakespeare, amazing name, is a convicted graffiti artist and sky surfer who escapes the clutches of the Justice Department so he can compete in the Super Surf 10 competition happening in Oz. His journey across the Cursed Earth and the Pacific Ocean takes on a mythic significance for the inhabitants of Megacity 1, and it's hard not to be swept along as well. Chopper feels like he's bringing hope to a grim world as he faces off against mutant birdmen, a deranged ship's cook, and eventually the unyielding Judge Dredd. It's also a cheerful examination of a future post-apocalyptic Australia packed with amusing slang and even a yacht named after Dame Edna. It's perhaps no coincidence then that one of the book's artists, Brendan McCarthy, went on to co-write Mad Max Fury Road. Equal parts road trip and sports movie, Oz is a bright, characterful palate cleanser. There are plenty of worthy Batman Dredd crossovers, and they are an inherently interesting combination. One of vigilante with an unbreakable moral code, the other an unflinching lawman obsessed with the ruthless application of justice. But if you have even a passing interest in either character, Judgement on Gotham is like a Jonathan Crane shot of pure comic book gratification. It's a fantastic portrayal of Judge Death, who's at once gruesome and hilarious, and yet another reminder of why Judge Anderson is such an essential character, tempering Dredd's unbending approach to crime. And the art by the legendary Simon Bisley is so good you'll want to devour every panel, the standouts being one of the most satisfying punches ever committed to the pages of a graphic novel, and the moment Anderson reaches inside Bruce Wayne's mind, surely one of the most vivid and terrifying examinations of the Dark Knight's shattered psyche. 1995's The Pit is the story that took us to the modern age of Judge Dredd, stepping away from the wilder aspects of earlier stories and showing us a more human, relatable side of the Justice Department. In it, Dredd takes over as Sector House Chief in Sector 301, the so-called Pit, one of the worst cesspools in the city. As you'd expect, Dredd is a stickler for the rules, but his understanding of what it means to patrol the streets of Megacity 1 gives him a unique relationship with his judges, and in many respects the Pit is more about that ensemble cast than it is Dredd himself. Compared to the pandemonium of the likes of the Cursed Earth arc, The Pit is a gripping, earthy epic that you absolutely need to pick up if you have any interest in police procedurals. Think of it like The Wire or The Shield, but set inside Megacity 1's most crime-ridden zone. Baltimore looks like the Shire by comparison. America might be the most challenging story on this list. Like many of the best comic book creations, Judge Dredd is a character who really comes to life when seen through the eyes of normal people, and that's exactly what we get here. Told almost entirely in flashback, we see Dredd via the experiences of Bennett Beanie and America Jara, two inhabitants of Megacity 1 whose intertwining lives take them in very different directions. It's a stark examination of a fascist police state where democracy and activism are crushed under the jackboot of the Justice Department. It's not a subtle message by any means, but it has powerful resonance now, perhaps more than ever. It's writer John Wagner's favourite Dredd tale, and 2000 AD editor David Bishop calls it the best Judge Dredd story ever written. If you want an effective, unflinching foil to the gruff heroism in the other stories on this list, America is utterly essential. This 1978 story has a gripping start that belies just how outlandish the tale eventually gets. Dredd is accused of a crime he didn't commit, with irrefutable video evidence proving his guilt. This sparks a series of events that eventually see the deranged, narcissistic Judge Cal, as in Caligula, gain complete control of the Justice Department and, eventually, Megacity 1. What could have been a familiar tale of the corruption caused by unfettered power is taken to the sort of wild extremes we can only see in the pages of 2000 AD. Cal doesn't just descend into madness, he plummets. And before long we've got a literal goldfish acting as Deputy Chief Judge and an entire city sentenced to death. In much the same way Judge Cal is allowed to do whatever he likes, writer John Wagner goes to extreme lengths to show us just how unhinged Cal is, and the results are electrifying. For a series set in the future, some older Dredd stories can feel like products of a different time. Not so Tour of Duty, which tells a complex, mature story about prejudice and politics. A backlash against relaxed anti-mutant laws leads to the establishment of new leadership at the Justice Department, and Dredd is forced to leave the city he loves in order to police mutant ghettos in the Cursed Earth. With only a ragged crew of misfit judges to help him, Dredd has to maintain order in the townships and fight hordes of bandits, all while trying to unravel the conspiracy unfolding back at the Big Meg. If you want a tangled examination of the politics of the Justice Department, Tour of Duty is as close 2000 AD ever gets to The West Wing, a story full of scheming and subterfuge that becomes more twisted as it progresses, taking in serial killers, politics, plea bargaining, and the human cost of stoking primal fears about immigration. So there you go, 8 Judge Dredd stories literally everyone should read. And don't forget to hop over to 2000AD.com and grab the free app while you're at it. You might even make Judge Dredd smile. I'm just joking, of course, the best you can hope for is a smirk. Hit that like button if you love justice and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one. Thank you for your cooperation.